Welcome, my friends, to Unity of Fort Myers online Sunday service. With me this morning is Heather DeRocher as my platform assistant and Reverend Robert Brumet as our guest speaker. I'm Reverend Carla McClellan, and we are delighted you chose to visit us this Sunday. We are finishing up our series on birthing a greater reality, and I think you'll get a lot out of today's show. On the steps that we need to take. So, talk to you later.
People, you can lose sight of it all, and the darkness there inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I saw you laughing. If this one makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you call me up because you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
We have so many nice things going on right now, and we hope that you are carefully reading the weekly email for everything that is happening. One of the things that is happening very shortly in the next hour at the end of our service at noon today is a town hall meeting that we hope you'll all join for. You do need to register ahead of time for that. The link is in the weekly email, so please go to that and you will register, and then they will send you the information on the Zoom right away, instantly. So we hope to see you at the town hall meeting. You can also go to our website and our Facebook page to find out all the things that are happening in our community at this time. And today we will not have the virtual coffee hour because we will be having the town meeting. And of course, Unity was founded on prayer. And so we want you to know that our prayer chaplains are available here. I've so appreciated the calls that I've been receiving on a regular basis. I hope you've received your call too. It's so wonderful to hear another Unity voice on the other end of the line. So please call or email the office if you have prayer requests. You can also put them right here in our Facebook chat for service. And of course, as always, you can call Silent Unity. And right now it's 27, so 20 hours a day, 7 days a week that you can call Unity. And we hope you take advantage of that.
And so now let us simply close our eyes and open our hearts, taking a breath in together and letting go of our judgments, opinions, perceptions, and just being here now in the very presence of infinite intelligence, of unconditional love, of abundant prosperity, and of wholeness. We remember that our God is love, and our religion is oneness, and our race is human. In declaring this to be our truth, we move into the experience of today in this attitude of gratitude, that we are all floating around in the energy of God love, that we can choose to pour that energy through us and express as us, that we can share and light the light within other people anytime we remember that it's not just I, it is we that have come together to birth a greater reality. So we let it be. Amen. Welcome, Robert, to our sixth and final session of Birthing a Greater Reality, based upon your book of the same name. So last week, one of the things that I wanted to share with you this week was, I love the idea you reminded us we're made of stardust, that within us has the capacity and the possibility of being greater than we think we can be, because we are made of the universe and for a purpose greater than what we see around us. So thank you for that. And we talked about the integral quadrants, the individual work and then the collective work that has to be in harmony and balance. And so this week, I want to say to you, okay, we said birthing a greater reality. When I look out into the world, I'm not seeing greater. Are you?
Yes.
Good on you.
Yes.
Say more.
Well, the way we operate as human beings is that we are spiritual beings, and then we embrace some kind of a form to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Body, but not just a body, an identity, a family, a church, a culture, et cetera, et cetera. We have various constructs, both personal and collective. And like, our cultural values, our personal history, our cultural history, our foundations upon which our government was created, Christianity, et cetera, et cetera. These are all in various forms of either growing or decaying. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so growth consists of letting go of the old and birthing the new, letting go of the old and birthing the new, letting go of the old and birthing the new. And so what's most visible is the letting go. We typically don't see the birthing process. But we see the dying part of it, but not the emerging part of it. And that's what the media tends to focus on. What's the most visible and the most that grabs our attention the most. So what's essential is not being seen, but what's essential can be felt. When we listen to young people today, and we listen to people, African American people, and people like Greta Thunberg, the young girl from Sweden, is it, that such a powerful voice. And so there's this invisible force that's being born, but we're more focused on the resistance, because that's where the pain is, and that's where the attention goes.
I love this. So it makes sense why we're focusing on the destruction of what was, because we can't see what's next. And there's even the possibility we won't fully see what emerges.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
but the question then becomes, am I willing, no matter what, am I willing to be a part of this birthing a greater reality?
Absolutely. We're not doing it necessarily for personal gain. It's not a bartering situation where I'll birth a new reality as long as I get A, B, and C. It's more surrendering into the process of life. And life itself is constantly birthing and being and dying and birthing, dying and birthing. That's the nature of life. Breathing in, breathing out. It's like it says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time to live and a time to die. There's a time to give birth, and there's a time to let go.
Yes. And letting go is not a passive action, is it? It requires great courage and compassion, both for ourselves and for others.
Yes, because the old structures are very sticky. We're very identified with those. The way things, what we call normal. See, we want to get back to normal. Well, we'll never be back to normal, because the normal is what's dying. So what the problem is that something new emerges, and then so often we want to coalesce around that and make that, quote, normal, and hold on to it. So it's like we need to hold these things lightly and be aware of the life that's within them, rather than focusing on the form itself.
Oh, I love that image.
Yeah.
To hold it gently, to cradle it.
Exactly. Well, of course,
rather than force it.
Exactly. We see this in religion all the time, where the church structure, maybe the building itself, more likely the teachings and the ecclesiastical structures that get formed, the body politic, as it will, that becomes the form. But rather than the form supporting the spirit, the form becomes the primary focus. So it's like, in order for something new to be born, it has to break the old structure, because the old structure is rigid and calcified. You see, if it were fluid and dynamic and flexible and permeable, then the structure could breathe with us and grow with us. But if it's not, it doesn't. You see, it's kind of like those animals they call exoskeletons. They have their skeleton on the outside. In order for them to grow, they have to shed their skeleton, their shell. Like a snake has to shed its skin in order to grow, because the skin doesn't grow. Well, we're kind of the same way. The structures don't grow, we do. And in order for a new...
Oh, I love that, Robert. The structures don't grow, we do.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that is such a good truth to stand upon.
The structures then, the friction is when the growth tries to occur, the structures don't want to, it's like little kids grow, but their shoes don't. And if we try to force them to keep wearing the same shoes, it's painful and it's not helpful for them. So they need, as most of us that were parents know, they constantly are outgrowing their clothes, you see, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But it's painful to the parents that have to constantly.
So all the structures that we see that are getting destroyed right now, and we're seeing, riots in the streets, and people saying we're not going to take it anymore. This isn't working, you guys. It's not about trying to contain them into a container that's way too small, a skin that won't breathe with them, that won't grow with them. Right. So the learning curve for us is to be aware. I know for me, to do the self-awareness work, to see where my emotions are, to see where I want to shed some skin, yes. To see how that discomfort is kind of itchy, but until I take care of it within me, yeah. I can't make a positive contribution to the greater.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So what comes up for me is, the teachings of Jesus, which we hold to be the wisdom upon which we take action in our life. It's ancient wisdom, new thought, and then how do we put it into practice? That Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself and love your God. And so if we can do that pure, unconditional, agape love with no judgment, the great news is we have nothing to forgive. And we're in that creative moment all of the time.
Exactly. The issue is,
do you know anybody that's there?
Well, nobody's there.
Yeah.
Nobody's there. And nobody's there because it isn't something that we do. We love. We are love. And all we can do is let go of all of that that's getting in the way of that love. You see. So it's like putting the bushel over the candle, so to speak, or the light. And it's like we need to keep peeling back the pieces of the bushel basket. Because the light's already there. See, if we try to love, we're going to love according to the way we've been loved, which is conditionally and within certain constraints. I love you if you behave a certain way, you look a certain way, if you do certain things. But the love you're referring to and that I'm talking about is a love that just is the essence of who we are, and it's the essence of what reality is. So the birthing of that love requires letting go of all that's in the way of that love.
Which would be our opinions, our judgment.
Everything's calcified and rigidified, It's like, well, I remember one time working with a person that said, I want to be pure love. I want to express, my mission is to express God's love in the world. This is great. I support you in that. A few weeks later, she came back and she said, oh my God, I'm running into all these terrible people. And I'm filled full of anger, et cetera, et cetera. What's gone wrong? I said, nothing. It's like your intention is beginning to manifest. And as you make that intention to be love, you're going to find all of those places within you and within your world that aren't love.
Yes. I remember when I was 30 years old, billions of years ago, I set the intention, I want to be as whole as I can know to be this lifetime. I believe that we have many lifetimes, but I want to experience what wholeness is for me this lifetime. And wow, I didn't know what I set in motion. But I've never been bored yet.
You were in my office many times talking about it.
Yes. Help! What have I done to myself? Because that is the name of the game, to uncover, to discover, to recover the essence of who we are, which is light and love.
Exactly.
So forgiveness then plays an essential role in the birthing process.
Yeah, absolutely. And for forgiveness, let's talk first about non-forgiveness. Non-forgiveness is when we're stuck in the old, my old vision of the way I see things. You did something bad to me and therefore you're going to pay for it. That's an old paradigm, you see. And so how do I get out of that old paradigm? Well, first I have to recognize I'm in it.
Yes.
And then the second step, this is, by the way, it's interesting. This is a lot like the 12-step recovery process. First I got to recognize it, and then recognize that forgiveness needs to occur, and I'm willing to forgive. So that's the second step.
I'm willing, no matter what. No matter what, it has to be that surrendered willingness, not that I should forgive, or in order to get where I want to go, I have to forgive, but a willingness to forgive exactly. No matter what.
I choose to forgive, period.
That's decision
is made. I choose to forgive. There's no if, when, etc. It's just I will. Now, like you said, that's a powerful choice. Because when we make that choice, I can no longer blame other people, which is the old structures. I can no longer say I'm a victim of them. It's all their fault. You see, I need to look at myself and say, okay, what needs to be healed within myself? Now, this is not to say that injustices haven't occurred. I mean,
right.
But in order to let go of the old paradigm and birth the new, if I focus on the injustices that I see through the old lens, I'm going to be stuck there. So what I need to do is say, okay, how can I heal myself? Well, I can heal myself by forgiving myself, forgiving others, and by willing to feel my own grief. That's really the bottom line.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? Because we have to get to that grief.
That's the underlying. It's what forgiveness and grief are almost in many ways identical. Mm-hmm. Because grieving is a letting go. It's a letting go of the old structures.
And it's not for sissies.
No, and that's why I think relatively few people are doing it. It's much, much easier to hold on to the old structures and, as they say, curse the darkness rather than light a candle. And when we light a candle, we're no longer focused on the darkness. We're focused on the light that we are. And then we can come into the world and bring to the world that light. And then that light, there again, it goes through another cycle. That light then will want to take some form, and the form holds the light in the world, but eventually that form, if we're not careful, will close over once again. Sort of like the phylum and the peduncle in the evolutionary process,
Yeah.
But constantly birthing something new, that something new needs to have a structure to express itself in the world. But to be careful that structure doesn't become an end in itself, that we don't get stuck to the structure.
Can you think of an example that's going on right now that could help us see how the light needs to have a structure, but not a container too tight because it'll snuff the light out? Can you think of anything that's going on in our world today or in our country today that might give us an example of how to use forgiveness?
Yes. Yes. I referenced earlier the 12-step process, the 12 recovery program. Even if one doesn't consider themselves an addict, I think it's extremely helpful to look at what that program is and what it's about, because it's an example of something that is spiritual but not religious. It's an example of something that has principle. It has some structure, but the structure is very fluid. That's built right into the program itself.
Yeah.
They don't create creeds, organizations. There's no guru. It's principle above personality is what they always say. And that's really what we're talking about here, is creating a self-renewing organism. And that's the closest thing I can think of today.
I like that because what's going on in today, like we said earlier, is a birthing process that we really can't see what's beginning to emerge. We just know it's messy and it doesn't look real creative right now. It looks the destructive process of birthing, the breaking down, but that is a transformational program that has worked ever since it was created.
Yeah, almost 100 years, 90 years, or pretty close to it. So, yeah, that's there's real genius embedded in that program, and there's a lot of great minds that have come together to create that.
I hadn't heard before, or maybe I hadn't really listened before, but when you said principle above personality, I thought, bingo, that's the world, the reality I want to be in, where it's principle based, and we somehow enjoy the different personalities, or at least respect them, and honor them.
Yes. Well, it's like with the Unity teachings, we look at all of the books that have been published. We see a variety of different authors. Each author has their own personality, their own style, their own perspective. But there's one principle that they're all teaching. Not in the same words and in the same way, very different words, very different viewpoints, but the agreement is that we're all pointing to the same thing. We may be different fingers, but we're all pointing to the same light.
Yes, that light within and without.
Right.
Individually and collectively.
Principle is both within us and far, far beyond us as well.
Very, very good. So what do you think about, do you have to forget the injury or the insult or the behavior that hurt you so much? Do we have to get over that in order to forgive ourselves and others?
No, we don't have to forget. In fact, it's probably not a good idea to forget, because sometimes that's how we learn. But forgiveness and forgetting are two different things. The problem is we forget before we forgive.
Yes.
We don't forgive. That's when we carry around unhealed wounds with us. So, like the Holocaust is a classic example. You talk about forgiveness. I mean, that's going to take generations to forgive that. I mean, we're still, 80 years later working on that one. And yet the healing is taking place one generation at a time. And at the same time, the German government, what I see is in its wisdom, teaches what happened at the Holocaust and vows to say this will never happen again. So we've learned the fruits of racism and hatred, and we're going to recognize it, and we're not going to let it happen again. So it's important often not to forget. But forgiveness is to let's stop blaming and calling people bad we're the perpetrators, let's recognize that racism is bigger than any one individual. You know, one person may be a racist, but you know, you could lock that person up, or if he dies, racism isn't going to go away. You see,
Right.
it's something that's more than an individual. So we have to heal it both individually and systemically in the culture, because the two kind of go together. Because it's like any cultural construct, excuse me, is sort of an agreement between two people. And you know, like if people get together and tell racist jokes, you know, everybody laughs at those because it's like, well, we all agree that we all feel the same way, you say. But if one person who doesn't feel that way is afraid to speak up, they may not personally be a racist, but they're participating in the culture of racism by remaining silent. So if they stand up and they say, wait a minute, no, I don't think it's funny, I think it's really cruel, what was just said, then that's when the friction begins. So the first one to stand up, or the first ones to stand up, those are the ones that are the pioneers, and that it takes a lot of courage, but they're laying tracks that others will follow in the future. So, you know, if one person stands up and then another one says, yeah, you know, that now that you mention that, doesn't feel right to me too, so let's not do that anymore, you say. So you can reach another agreement. The culture shifts as each person shifts, and it plays back and forth.
Beautiful. The culture shifts as each person shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just remember that where we are right now is in a great big shift.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is that we're all made of God stuff, and the qualities that we assign to quote unquote God are qualities that we have and potentials we have within us. Mm-hmm. And when we can lift up our vision instead of grasping and clutching to the past or the structures we felt safest with, if we can lift up, we can see a field of possibilities.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. If we can see the, you know, where is God arising in all of this?
Yes, great question. Where is God arising in this?
Yeah, so there's hate and destruction and everything going on. Where's God in all of this? Well, God is in this in the sense that freedom is emerging. Love is trying to emerge. And like I said, when love tries to emerge, it's going to run into the old structures of hatred that have tried to contain it in the past. But that struggle, even the violence, I mean, it's not helpful, certainly. But if we can see it as an outpicturing of the friction that takes place when the new tries to emerge and the old tries to stifle the new. And
yeah, I think the word that the Fillmores use, chemicalization, is so appropriate to that arising of everything that is not.
Exactly. Yeah.
That violence takes to the it's like, you know, that one drop into the too tight container caused an explosion
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
of the container.
Exactly.
And now our work is to find the light, to put some sort of structure around the light
container,
loosely.
Yeah, exactly.
With great love and with great compassion, and compassion includes holding people accountable for their behavior.
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, we don't do people a favor by not doing that, because to be loving is also to be responsible, and to you know, it'd be like parent with a child, if you were to let your children, draw on the walls and break the windows and destroy the house, you could say, well, it's because I love them so much. Well, that's not love. You say, love includes discipline. You can't have love without discipline.
And patience, darn it.
Well, yeah, that's with all of it. That's with all of it. Yeah, that's the essential part of spirituality is patience. Faith and patience are almost synonymous, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do like hope, because hope reminds me of the light. There is always light. I might not see it right now, yeah. but I stand on the certainty it's there. I can't see it right now, so I find it within me, and then I merge it with other light.
Yeah. Or another way to see it is, I see it first within me, and then it's reflected in the world.
Oh, yes. Hey, Robert, would you take us through a forgiveness meditation now?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I'd love that, and I know our listeners would love that too. So we're just going to surrender to the sound of your voice, my friend.
Thank you. So let's just breathe together. Breathing in, breathing out. And with each out breath, I invite you to relax a little more fully in your body and in the mind. And as you relax, allow your heart to open if it's willing. Let the mind settle on its own. Let the body relax in its own way. And breath by breath, we go deeper into the divine awareness. And as that awareness grows within us, it shines light on all of those places, all of those shadowy places within us that are unhealed, that feel lost, that are angry, that are hurt. So as we see, or at least be willing to see, those dark corners within ourselves, as we make the choice to see them, heal them, and to no longer hold on to them, we're making the choice to forgive. I am willing to forgive. So if there's anything that comes into your awareness where you are holding non-forgiveness, resentment, or guilt, or anger, spite, envy, whatever it may be, you can simply say, I'm willing to forgive this. I'm willing to let go. I may not be able to see myself letting go of it immediately, but that willingness, that intention is like a seed that I sow. And that seed of forgiveness takes root inside the dark soil. And it goes to work transforming that and healing that. And perhaps there are unseen places that need to come into my awareness. So being very compassionate, very patient, much as if we adopted a young child that had been neglected or abused. We love him or her, and we have to be aware that there's some hurt in that child. So we love and have compassion for all parts of ourselves that are hurting. And as we do that, then that allows that self-compassion to radiate out into our world. Then compassion for others becomes quite natural. It becomes a way of being. The world is our mirror. And as we heal, release, and let go of all of the old beliefs, structures, can sometimes be painful because we're very attached. Perhaps our identity itself may be attached to some of these. As we're willing to let go and forgive, whether we know it or not, we are part of birthing that greater reality. First in ourselves, and then in the world. So let us rest in the silence for a few moments as we allow this process to take place in its own time, in its own way, within each of us. Just resting in the silence. So as we come back into the world around us, bring our awareness back, we allow that light to shine always on those places within ourselves. And we keep coming back to that primary decision, that primary intention. I choose to forgive. I choose to love. I choose to birth a greater reality within myself and within the world. This is my choice, my intention, and my prayer. And so we say, thank you, Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Robert, for taking us on this amazing journey.
The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from error.
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
We thank each and every one of you for supporting us always, and especially at this time. We depend on your donations for the work that we do, for the Sunday service, for the prayer chaplains, for all the things that we have as a part of our community here. We need your support. There are lots of ways that you can support us. You can text the word Give Unity Fort Myers to 44321. There's also a button on our website, the Unity Fort Myers website, that you can use to donate. And we especially want to just give a shout out to Deb in the office, who's doing so much for us right now to keep us all in touch and connected. So please continue to support us so that we can be doing all the important work that we have here at Unity Fort Myers.
And now join with me as we bless our gifts, our offerings, and givers. So divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. Amen.
And we also would like to bless all the children in our community, in our state, our country, and in our world. So I invite you to warm up your hands with me while we send out a special blessing to all the children. You are loved, special, and important. We behold and bless the Christ you are. And as we close, we like to think about having peace in the world, which begins in our hearts and in our minds. So let there be peace on earth. Let peace begin with me. Let it begin with us. And join me now in our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
And so, beloveds, I look forward to seeing you in just a little bit at our town hall meeting. And register and let us celebrate the birthing of the greater reality for Unity of Fort Myers.
Say thank you, thank you, thank you, 'cause I'm so grateful, oh grateful, I'm so grateful. So I want to say thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Now thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. I wanna say thank you. Thank you. I wanna say thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you. 'Cause I'm so grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. So grateful. I'm so grateful. I wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you. Just thank you. Thank you. I wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 'Cause I'm so grateful. Yeah. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I wanna just say thank you now. Just thank you now.